Welcome back to the channel. Now, if you know me by now, I really love cheap and budget RCs. Today we're going to be taking a look at another really cheap RC at the moment, and it is the Eachine EAT11 or EAT11 as a lot of people are actually calling it. This thing looks really promising for the price. This can actually be had for potentially less than £50 here in the UK. I'm not sure what that is in dollars, but I'm pretty sure it is well under $100. Now, from what I have seen of this does do things a little bit different to what you would usually expect to see on an RC, especially when it comes to the internal layout under the body shell. But as always, we will take a much closer look at that a little bit later on in the video. Now, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We have got so much more coming up on the channel, including more reviews, more budget RCs, brushless conversions, and so much more. So be sure to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all the latest RC content. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get this thing unpacked and see what we get in the box. Right then, so let's take a closer look at what you actually get included in the box. Now, we'll start with the batteries first of all. You get two of these 18650 batteries. And these are 1500 milliamp each. So the little truck itself will take two of these, which will give you the equivalent of 2S. You also get a little USB charger, little 18650 USB charger, which should get the job done absolutely fine. We also get a little screwdriver. Now, your transmitter has some basic settings on it. You do have steering trim, and you can also adjust your throttle trim as well. And this will allow you to set how fast or slow you want the model to behave, which is really nice for people. If this is your first model, you can turn the throttle up and down, which is a nice little feature. There's your on and off switch as normal. Not bad quality. I've seen a lot worse in the past, especially something at this sort of price point. Not a bad little transmitter at all. Very pleased with that. Onto the manual. Quite a basic manual. It's not in colour. And you know me now, I do like colour manuals. But again, we do have to remember the price of this little truck. It covers all your basics, what you actually get in the box, how to install the transmitter batteries. What else have we got on here? Charging and installing the battery pack. Now we'll take a closer look at the truck in a moment, because the way these batteries actually go in is a little bit different to what you'd expect on a normal RC or an RC that you've seen before, but we will talk about that in a moment. And just some fine-tuning settings for the transmitter and a few other bits as well. So not a bad little manual, to be fair. Not the best thing I've ever seen. It's not in as much detail as you might actually like to see, but definitely gets the job done. All the basic stuff is in there, and I don't think you can really go wrong. So you don't get a huge amount in the box. That is pretty much all you get. I think there's only one thing left to do, and that is to take a closer look at the little buggy itself. Right, so we've had a look at what you get included in the box. Let's take a quick look at the little truck itself. Now, the first thing you notice is the bright colour scheme. We've got the bright green, the black, and the red trim on the wheels there. Overall, a very nice little colour scheme. It definitely does pop, especially in natural daylight. I really like that colour a lot. We've got a nice black spoiler going on there as well. And another thing you do notice is the LED lights on the front bumper. You would have seen those all lit up and running on the intro. And we will fire this up in a little while, and we'll take another closer look at the LED lights. Overall, a very nice looking cheap budget RC. Right, so let's take a closer look at what is going on under the body shell then. Now, the first thing you notice is the small 390 size brush motor, which is centrally mounted. It's not something you see very often, but I do like the fact that it is on this, because it does help with weight distribution. Now, let's talk very briefly about where the batteries go. They actually go in these little compartments on the side. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to take this out one-handed. So this, as you can see, is where the 18650 batteries go. Now, you do have one on each side. If I take that one out just to show you where that actually sits, we do have one on the other side as well, but I'm not going to take that one out for the moment, because I am just demonstrating where they actually go. So this does take two, and you do get two included in the box, because this will equal your 2S. You've got a 5-wire servo, which is a very common thing on these cheap and budget RCs. But not only that, we've also got like a 3-in-1 unit with the ESC as well, which does power your front LEDs. As you can see, you've got the wires coming out of there, which does power your front LEDs. Now, this is the sort of thing we do see quite often on a lot of these cheap and budget RCs. So let's talk very briefly about the shocks on this, because they aren't oil filled, they are just friction. Now that does obviously mean that the model is a little bit bouncy, a little bit springy. You know, it's nothing we haven't seen before, but it does bring us back to the cheap price. You know, you don't expect to see oil filled shocks on this, but I definitely think you probably could upgrade to a set of oil filled shocks if you really wanted to at a later date. So taking a closer look, as you can see, it does have plastic dog bones or drive shafts. And I'd like to guess that the differentials are also plastic as well. That's just my guess. I haven't actually taken this apart yet, but when I do, I can confirm that. But overall, not a bad little buggy, especially for the price. The wheels are quite firm. The rubber that's actually been used is also quite firm. You know, I wouldn't have said this is going to be the most grippy thing in the whole world, but then again, I wouldn't have said this is going to be the fastest thing in the whole world either. But yeah, overall, not a bad little package, especially for that price. This thing is insanely cheap. You know, I really can't stress that enough. And if this thing proves to be a lot of fun, to be honest, it will be an absolute steal. So taking a closer look at the LEDs on this, they are permanently switched on. There isn't a way to actually switch them off with a switch, and they aren't switchable from the transmitter either. But to be honest, I think this is going to be absolutely fine. I don't think you're going to care too much, especially if you buy this as a really cheap budget model. I don't think you're going to care that you can't actually turn the LEDs off. So this little truck is 1/14 scale. It is also fully proportional, which is a very nice little touch on something this cheap. Okay, so we have got a fresh set of batteries in there. I think the first thing we'll do is actually take this out and see how fast it is. We'll then give it a very quick and brief bash around my garden and see how it performs. But overall, looking like a very promising little machine for a very, very cheap price. Right, we're all set to go. Let's see how fast this little buggy is. Right then, so we managed to achieve 18 miles per hour, which is, to be honest, nowhere near the claimed speed on the box. But even so, 18 miles per hour out of a buggy that costs, well, to be honest, you know, not a huge amount of money. That isn't too bad at all. 18 miles per hour, not a bad little speed. Okay then, so overall a really nice little truck. We did have some fun with it out in the back garden, and we also took it out and gave it a very quick speed test. Now, as you see, we did only manage 18 miles per hour, and it does say on the box that it will do 48 kilometers per hour or 29 miles per hour. Now, obviously it won't do that, and I think we sort of guessed it wouldn't do that because it is a very cheap budget RC, but even so, 18 miles per hour is far from being bad. So we know it's cheap. We also know it does come with quite a few nice features, such as being fully proportional. And again, for something of this price, being fully proportional is definitely an added bonus. Now, would I recommend this to you? Well, there's very few RCs out there that I wouldn't actually recommend to anyone. This is definitely one of the ones that I would recommend, especially if you are on a very tight budget. Considering something like this would be ideal. So even though this is in between toy grade / hobby grade, I would definitely recommend one, especially if you're looking to have some fun out in your back garden or your backyard, or, you know, just a second RC just to have a little mess around with, even on your driveway. something as cheap as this, you really can't go wrong. Okay, so we are going to leave the video there today. If you enjoyed seeing this cheap little truck in action, be sure to leave a comment down below and let me know what you thought of it. If you think there's anything else in this sort of price range that would be a better option to actually go for, then again, feel free to leave a comment down below. But other than that, we're going to leave it there today. Be sure to subscribe, like this video, and again, I will see you on the next one. Take care.